kick this thing off this evening. Welcome, everybody. Glad everybody is here for our monthly ICA call. And, you know, some of us are in office, some of us are on the road, but you're here, and that's the most important part. Patrick, I have not heard. Do you know if Jeremy plans to join us this evening?
I have not heard, but I can tell you the last couple of days when I've spoken to him, it's been in 3-minute snippets when he came up for air very briefly. So I would not count on him.
All right, very good. So, well, we're excited again that you're here with us this evening. We have a pretty good agenda for you. Well, more than pretty good. We have a good agenda for you this evening. And we're going to kick this thing off with Patrick talking to us a little bit about our membership results year to date.
Yeah. Let's share the screen here. I know you all are dying to see my screen. Okay, give me a thumbs up if you can see that. Yeah, look at all those thumbs. All right, it's like I'm on a call with hitchhikers. Okay, so many of you, probably all of you, saw Terry Weaver's email earlier today, giving us a little summary of where we are. Of course, our blue line here. Let's go ahead and mute if you're not talking right now. But anyway, the blue line shows us our track so far, and you can click on your data, and you'll see that so far we are up 236 members. We are 77 off of our success track. So going back to the graphs, that 77 is the difference between the green squares that you see and the blue line. So we're about 77 off. You know, if you do the math on that, that's about 5 members a district. Where we can really make a dent in this is in the creation of innovative clubs, because that's when you see this line jump up. When we create a club, you know, if it's a satellite, a companion with 8, 10, 12 members, or a brand new standalone club with 20 or more members, that's where we can really put a dent in this. And that's where the folks on this call come in. As he noted, we are sitting in 3rd place among the 10 zones in North America. So that's encouraging. We're doing reasonably well against our peers across the continent. But as a whole, we still have some work to do to reach that success track, which is the track that will lead us to a 0.5% gain, just a very modest gain for the year. So I want to be sure that everybody understands what that is about. Any questions regarding that? Or you have a pretty firm grip on how that data works and how those graphs work? Any questions?
I would just like to point out that little district 7720 did really good with a satellite club coming in this week. We don't get it very often, but I got to yell about it when we do. So,
Stan, I think it's fantastic. How many were in that club?
I think there is going to be a total of 15. There's 2 former Rotarians or names that matched other Rotarians that didn't get picked up yet, and there's a couple more that they're having duplicate numbers and those types of things come up. But that was all due to past District Governor Brenda Shaw out in Rocky Mount.
Super. So you can see 7720, which is northeastern North Carolina, and there's the jump I'm talking about, where a new club gets created. Really does move the needle in terms of the results within a district, and that's why what we're doing is so important. It's why this entire effort was created, was in the knowledge that new clubs are really the way to move the needle. So I'll stop the share, and I think Terry Weaver wants to weigh in on this.
Sure, Patrick. The thing that is very unusual about where we are right now is the bimodal distribution between clubs that are on the success track and clubs that are not. Clubs that are on the success track are typically at net even 0, right where they ought to be, to plus 8 or 10, 12. All of the clubs that are not are way off, 12, 15, 25 members. And I don't remember seeing it quite this way before.
And by modal, there's sort of those that are taken off and those that are
there's nothing in between.
I'm trying to convert engineer speak into Rotary speak there. So
I appreciate this speed and protocol conversion. I realize that's part of your job.
All righty. Thank you, Terry. Okay, and I'll just mention, I know Chris and I mentioned this from time to time, that if there's anything that we can do to support you within your districts, whether that's talking to a club, speaking at a district event on innovative clubs, we're happy to do that. I can tell you that other zones are reaching out to us. I'm on the books to speak to a couple of zones in the next, other zones in North America over the next 60 days. So if there's anything that Chris and I can do to support you, sometimes having just a different voice, a new voice, talking about the same topics can help reach people. And I'll tell you that in my own district, I'm frequently the one to say, hey, get someone other than me to talk because they've heard my rap. So I walk that both ways. But we are available and always willing to support you all in your efforts to create new clubs. Chris, I think I'll kick it to you here to talk about the second half of this.
Thanks, Patrick. I appreciate it. And yes, so when you're reporting your numbers on a monthly basis into Patrick and myself for innovative clubs, you do want to make sure that you're including in that Patrick Longano's impact clubs. And so Patrick, I know, has been reaching out to some of you, maybe all of you, to make sure that the numbers are matching up. But there's a number of impact clubs that are going out there, and it looks like they may not all be being reported on the ICA sheet that gets turned in. So we want to make sure that we have congruence in those numbers. Jeremy, our zone director, Jeremy, is watching these numbers very closely. We have been leading in North America in terms of opening up innovative clubs. We want to continue to do that. But the impact clubs have had a significant effect on new clubs that are opening up. And Patrick Longano, I am going to call on you briefly here to talk about a little bit about what's going on in terms of reporting, but also what you're doing in terms of the impact clubs themselves and the 5-step program that you're using. So Patrick Longano, if you could unmute. And
yep, I'm here.
Thank you.
Chris, yeah, no problem at all. We're just, it's gotten a little crazy since the international convention when we were able to do the breakout session. But so what we've done is we've spent a lot of time and resources into formalizing the steps on how to do it. We've trained other people, impact innovators, to take people, interested clubs through the steps. Just real quickly, and I'm driving, so I don't have it on me, but step 1 is just an informal phone call, ask your questions. Step 2 might be instantaneously, you guys want to talk to the board or other interested members. 3 is where it really gets interesting. We make a Google Drive for you and start putting best practices in there, digital applications, Rotary International applications, those type of things. And as we go along in the process, helping you identify who your 12 to 15 founders are going to be, we continuously put stuff in the drive for you. So when you're ready to go, the application will go directly to our contact up there at Rotary International, and it just speeds the process along. We also, if you're on DAC DB, we help the district DCOs get that taken care of, so it's accurately in there. And then Patrick, Chris, and I spoke after last meeting. So what'll happen is in between now and the next time your spreadsheet is due, all of your innovative club advocates in Zone 33 will have email showing what districts are and what clubs are in what step process, and impact, that way you can include it in on your sheet to send to Patrick and Chris by the 20th.
Great. Thank you, Patrick. And I do want to take a quick moment here and recognize that our director, Jeremy Hurst, has joined. Jeremy, if you could just give us a quick hello, that would be great.
Hello.
Thanks, Jeremy. So Patrick, let's get into a little bit more detail relative to your the impact clubs that you're working on, and what are some of the sweet spots? What is working well? you know, where are you seeing a lot of these impact clubs coming from, et cetera?
So we're working on 3 in California that have already got approved for the board: Texas, Ohio, Minnesota, Florida is really big right now. But people are just they're understanding now. I mean, 2 years ago when we started this, it was like, what? You're not going to meetings? No way. We'll jump off a bridge before we let that happen. And now everybody's like, okay, that's cool. Can you show us how to do it? So we've kind of, and that's what you guys have really done in this innovative club advocacy. What you do is you're opening the eyes, and it's this slow drip to people in the clubs. And it's not that they don't want to change, it's that it just takes them a little bit of time to change. So you guys have done great at that, and it's opened up the doors for us to be able to help. But I think one of the big things is that we're willing to help all the way through, from conception all the way through to practice. So if you've got any kind of clubs that are out there, any satellite club ideas, anything like that, and you just can't seem to get over the hump, my advice is to find somebody or us, anybody, and help. We'll individually help those clubs get over the hump and get their club formed. So I think that's what sets us apart, Chris, and that's what people are wanting to do it. They just need a little bit of help, that little extra help doing it, you know?
And so, Patrick, there's a number of folks on this call that haven't been on in the past year, so they're new this year, and they may be unfamiliar with what an impact club is and a companion club. So maybe you could take a moment and define that.
Sure. First, a companion club is nothing more than a satellite club with a cooler name. It's what I like to say. But Terry Weaver actually put it wonderfully. Satellite club has been traditionally used as a tool to grow membership and then break off and be its own club. We are looking, and our incentive, my incentive, is to help our existing clubs be the strongest that they could ever be. So when looking at the satellite club model and its use across the United States, it was the most underutilized tool in Rotary's toolkit. So we wanted to find out why. And we believe that it was because people were concerned with their own club, trying to help their own club, rather than what the original thought a satellite would be, to help another club get established. So we created a companion club, which is a satellite club that is not meant to break away from the existing club. It's supposed to run in conjunction and help the existing club gain new members or new pathways into Rotary. So Impact is just a type of companion club. That's it. It's a service-focused club. We meet at service projects. We have fellowship at service projects. We have, like I said, we have meetings there. I was actually able to go to one. It's in Chris's district, the Full Circle Club, and it was absolutely wonderful. They met at a service project at a senior care facility, cleaning up their garden. Them that next time invite me to one that didn't have so much manual labor, but it was a great program. And after they were done, they ended on time. They had a beginning of a meeting, probably a 15-minute meeting. They went over club business. They even inducted a member. And so it was really wonderful to see that people are doing it the way that it meets their needs. I have somebody on the call here, Chris. Her name is Katie Tosi. You'll remember her. Patrick remembers her from helping. She was the one that was booed at the international convention, and it was awesome because she meant to do it. And but Katie is one of the impact innovators, and she takes these meetings with these with clubs and helps them. So it's a full service deal that we help you with, and it's like Chris is really fond of saying, it's showing people a different pathway into Rotary.
And Patrick, I know that you're traveling, so you may not have exact numbers right in front of you, but how many impact clubs do you have in process right now?
34 in the steps right now. Does that mean every one of them is going to finish up? No, but it is. It's pretty close. We have 11 now, 11 clubs in the step 3 process. That means their board's already voted on it. They're in the process of getting their founders. And I know that satellite clubs, you're allowed to start them with 8. I kind of throw down the challenge there a little bit and I say, what's your pick, 12 or 15? And here's the great part about it. These people are so excited. They almost every single one of them goes, 15, we're going to do 15. I'm like, great, that's awesome. Or 20, that's right, or 20. So it's just been a great time. And guys, the clubs that I work with, they help me more than I help them. It's and Karen or Katie will say the same thing. And Nico Iannelli, who's been taking some calls for me too, they'll tell you the same thing. We get more working with these clubs than we help them with. It's been wonderful, Chris. But we do. Hopefully, our goal would be to have 25 done deal signed up with Rotary clubs by December 31st, and then 50 by the end of the year.
That's awesome, Patrick. And those are not just in zone 33, but those are spread out. Is that right?
Yes, sir. That's like I said, we've got one. I say Columbus, Ohio. It's in a suburb there. Los Angeles, Vail, Colorado. 2 in Kissimmee, Florida, Jacksonville, Florida. Pretty much all over the place right now. It's where we're getting calls from. Michigan, Minnesota.
East Midlands of the United Kingdom.
Yes, I apologize. Yeah, that's actually definitely a something that I'm really excited about that because I told them that I would have to come for their inductions. And we're actually working with the district down in the Caribbean, and they're trying to find a fit for one too, which I also said that I would go to their inductions as well too. So, Patrick, do you think you can help me out with that one?
I can. I have many friends in in the Caribbean and in the UK. Yeah, lots of friends in both.
We'll have a good time. But guys, it doesn't have to be Impact. It doesn't have to be a companion club. It doesn't have to be a satellite club. If you need help, these guys that are running this thing, I butt heads with them all the time because I just don't know when to shut up. But these guys right here are changing Rotary in zone 33 and 34 by allowing us to think differently and bring professions that have never been represented before. Like that's my wife right there. And I always tell them, I said, up where I'm from, we don't have an evening meeting. We have breakfast meeting and lunch meetings, and my wife's a teacher. And it would be a shame that in my lifetime, my wife would have never been able to be a Rotarian when I think she's the best Rotarian out there. So when you're looking around, it's not just who would we like to see in this club? It's take a look at the professions that are underserved. If you're a lunch club or a breakfast club, like the teachers or a different profession, and really invite those people to become a Rotarian because it'll change their lives just like it changed yours.
Well, Patrick, can I just echo that real quick, that it's not just about those professions. It's also about your club mimicking your community. Your club needs to look like your community. And so many of our clubs do not represent the diversity in our communities. So we've seen that this is a real opportunity for others who may have a different perception of what Rotary is and who it's for to be involved.
Yeah. Chris, how's that, buddy?
That's great. Both you and Katie gave great answers. I have a couple of questions that are in the chat here, Patrick, that I'd like to ask you.
Yes, sir.
Mary Jo Romeo says, this is great. Can you talk about the different due structures?
Fantastic. It always, buddy, is always a good question, but I'll tell you how I've evolved from this. And remember, the clubs get to make up their mind about this. I can give you what I do. I can tell you what I see other people do. First and foremost, my club is at $180 a year. And the reason why I did that is because I wanted to keep the cost down to a bare minimum. With RI dues and district dues, it leaves $45 to $50 per person for a club, for a contribution at a club. Now, these folks don't cost you anything. They don't cost you a single dime. So that money goes straight, to the club. Now, other clubs, one of the other clubs last week said, we're thinking about $250. And I said, can you make it $240? And they said, why? And I said, because it's $20 a month. So I would urge you, no matter what number you pick, keep it as low as you possibly can and do something along the lines of $15, $20, or $25. Don't go really much above that. If you can't, I wouldn't recommend, of course, you can do whatever you want, but it allows for people to get set up on auto pay. If I say, as a matter of fact, I did say that to my treasurer back in 2017 when he asked for dues. I had to give him cash, and he said, "Why don't you write me a check?" And I said, "Well, I haven't had checks since 2011, Lee. I'm sorry." So when we set up this club, we set it up on recurring or auto payments, and over 90% of the people in my club are on auto pay. The only people that aren't are the folks that, like the city government or the county government, would write them a check or write the club a check for it. So it's been a good thing. When you take a look at your dues, it always gets a little sticky when you talk with your board, but it doesn't have to be. And so and that's one of the things that we do in step 3. In 3 is we will engage your treasurer and your secretary if your board so desires, and we will show them the steps to getting everything set up so it's automated if they want, and how to do that.
Patrick, I'm going to ask Terry to interject here because he did a recent global seminar on membership, and I think he has something he'd like to add. So Terry?
Yeah, this idea of an impact club was introduced globally. It was kind of a setup. The setup question was, what's a completely non-traditional club type? And my answer was, well, how about a club that doesn't meet? And how about a club that doesn't have meals? And how about a club that doesn't have a bell and a Pledge of Allegiance and a speaker and a invocation? They just do projects. And the chat just exploded.
Yep. Thanks, Terry. Appreciate that feedback. Getting back to some other questions for you, Patrick. Harold Hicks asks us, don't these members get asked to participate in every member every year, the $100 to the Rotary Foundation?
Absolutely. In my club, I know that I offer it to everybody who joins. Again, I'm just going to tell you what I do. I serve a menu up to every person that I'm talking to, where I give them options. I've talked to Chris about this a million times. I offer 100% of the things, 100% of the people, 100% of the time, so nobody could ever say I didn't offer it to them or I didn't explain it to them. So we offer, of course, we offer Paul Harris sustaining memberships. And as part of their deal, like on mine, it's $15 a month or $25 a month to be sustaining. If people right there, they're explained and they say, yes, that's wonderful. We brought a new person who would have never been in Rotary to the foundation, okay? Right there on the spot from the get-go. If they say no, I do not make that a barrier to service. What I do after I get them to sign that they don't want to do that yet, I do challenge my foundation chair to take the time, not right up front, but within 90 days to send them information on the foundation. And if we have a foundation chair that's good, and we show these folks what it is to be in Rotary, really install our foundation is the greatest foundation in the history of the world. Then if these folks have foundation chair talks with them in their 3rd month, 4th month, and 5th month, then they'll donate. If they can't because of money, then they won't. But there's more than one way to skin a cat. Chris Jones and I talked, and we did a nice little fundraiser at the end of the year to make sure that the people that couldn't we're well represented, for our foundation. So there's different ways to do that, and it's a very good question. We're about 90% of the way there of getting that figured out. It was a great question, sir, and thank you for asking that.
Thanks, Patrick. Appreciate you answering those questions. If there's anybody else that has questions that they'd like to have to Patrick about the impact and companion clubs, please use the icon on your Zoom meeting and raise your hand. Be under the reactions area.
One
And
last
I'll-
thing.
Michelle, I see you have your hand up. If you can unmute and ask your question. I think Patrick is still with us. We're going to verify.
Yep, I am.
Okay,
good.
I'm
hey
here.
Patrick. Hey Patrick, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, I'm in 7280 and we just started, I'm club chair of a brand new chartered satellite. It's a virtual satellite. It's a satellite off of an e-club. So it's the first in our district. We have 13 members and we're cause-based. We're cause-based Rotary. We're focusing our efforts on women and children exclusively. So we have a very particular kind of mission and we have a group of people that are really jazzed up about that mission. My question to you is, I mean, well, let me step back. Our hope is someday we can become our own standalone full-fledged club, right? That would be great. We get 20 members, we can do that. So I think we'll probably be there in a year, hopefully, or maybe sooner. I don't know. But my question is, I understood the companion on the impact. Is the impact always part of the mothership, if you will, and never breaks away like the companion?
That's a very good question. We have done some experimenting in the first couple of years. The effort to we make every effort to ensure that your impact club is a companion club and will stay with the home club. Now, I can't make people sign blood, their name in blood on a dotted line. I would encourage that kind of cooperation going in. But we've done some experimenting in the first 2 years. We helped a club that was failing. They had 9 members going in. And they didn't do a companion club. They wanted to kind of reframe their own club in that impact model. And the gentleman who did it is, you think that that I'm excitable. This guy, Michael Dexter Smith, is one of the great recruiters out there, and he ended his year. Came in with 9, ended his year at 41 or 42 people. So we're experimenting with a couple of different things. We're helping people with impact style memberships. But my goal, like I said, whatever we have to do to help each club, and like I said, it doesn't have to be impact, whatever we have to do to help each club get to their goal, to stop the train. One of the things that you have to remember about using impact or any other companion club or any other satellite club is always, always, always think about that this is a tool to slow attrition. Now, Terry Weaver is about to stand up on his table and start clapping, because you cannot have powerhouse growth unless you attrition. And there are clubs that you have an ICA member. I don't know if she's on this call right now because I can't see it on my phone, but Ashley Ware from Moundsville Rotary, one of the greatest leaders I've ever met in my life. And she told me the other day in a club that since she initiated her impact club, they haven't lost a member because they were able to save people that were naturally leaving. So hope that answered your question.
No, that's really helpful because I understand now. It's sort of a stopgap for existing clubs that are struggling. It's not what we're doing. So I feel good about what you just said, because
yes, the club is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, the satellite route was the right route for us. So I'm okay. That's really cool. That's good to know, though. Thank you.
Yep. Yes, ma'am.
Anybody else have any questions for Patrick about impact clubs?
Hey, Chris,
Yes,
ask
sir.
a question, or let me ask a question real quick. How many people on this call, it's the, what, 2 months in, 2 full months in to the thing, has had somebody leave their club because of a change in work or a change in a family situation or something like that? How many people, if you raise your hand, how many people? Chris, how many? Okay, good. Now, what happens? Just ask yourself, what happens if you had an opportunity, if you had something in your back pocket that you could say, I know you don't want to leave the club, but you have to because of personal reasons or because whatever it is. What happens if I could show you a way that you could still serve the club, still serve your heart in service at your own pace, at your own time? Now, think of that person who's left and tell me that they would have left if you had that option in your back pocket. That's all I got to say, Chris.
Good point, Patrick. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so circling back to what we started to talk about at the top of the hour, or at the top of this conversation, I should say, is as you're reporting your numbers in on the ICA spreadsheet each month, please make sure that you're checking in with Patrick, and Patrick is checking in with you to make sure that you're accounting for all of the impact clubs that are being started in your district. Again, we have noticed a little bit of a mismatch between the numbers reported and some of the numbers that Patrick is reporting to us. And we just want to make sure that we have a holistic approach. So anyway, Patrick Eakes, I'm going to turn it back over to you for our open discussion.
Thank you, Chris. As you know, we try to reserve 15 or 20 minutes of each call for an open discussion, because we realize that the brain trust is not the two guys who put this call together. It's all of you. You're out there doing the work. We know that you have highlights that you might want to share, something where you've had a breakthrough that you want to share with your colleagues. You may have a question about something you're considering. We always want to have this time available for you all to be able to speak to each other, and we'll facilitate that and keep it moving. But we're to that part of our show. So who has something that he or she would like to share, or maybe ask a question about?
I'd like to ask another question, Patrick. You've got me thinking now, because in our district, Kathy Corcoran, who's on the line, is our district membership chair, but I'm on her committee and I'm responsible for innovative clubs. Oh, there's Audley. Hi, Audley. I want to get deeper into this. You know, this role is kind of new for me, and we have a summit coming shortly, and Audley's going to be speaking at our summit, which we're very excited about. But I think this idea of impact clubs is something that we need to speak on. And until tonight, I didn't know as much as I probably should have about that. My question is, when it comes to the dues structure, because this club is always going to be under the umbrella of the host club, if you will, is it acceptable to have a different structure? Number one, I think the answer is yes. But number two, I was told when we started our satellite that we would not get approved unless we had technically 2 meetings a month. And okay, one of the reasons why we wanted to do the satellite is we didn't want all these meetings. That was one of the reasons. Okay, so what we ended up with, which is perfect, is a meeting a month and a service project a month. And that's kind of how we get to that. But am I correct in saying that whether it's an impact, companion, or satellite, there is a minimum requirement for meetings? I guess I've asked a lot there, but I'm more interested in the meeting requirement than I am the dues.
So I think the two core questions I heard there was one about the dues,
Yes.
and whether there can be a second set of dues, if you will, and then the second being about the meeting requirement.
Yes.
I can answer both of those, but I bet there are some other folks who have firsthand experience here in the room who might want to speak to that. Anybody?
I wouldn't mind jumping in, Patrick.
Go, Audley.
Lovely question, Michelle. So the meetings component, because for us, the language we've started to use from RI is 2 gatherings a month. So
That's excellent. Gatherings.
2
Okay.
gatherings a month. So the impact model from, because we're one of the persons taking the flagship up to across the hill when we're looking at impact. The impact model is a service only model.
Okay.
That service only model could be a regular club, or it could be a satellite club. So there's a service only model that's in 7680. That is an impact model, but it's a standalone club, it's not a satellite club. And I know there's other clubs in the Caribbean that's looking at this service only model option as well. So I love
Okay.
the wording as well for a companion club, which is basically saying we have no intention of breaking away. So the impact component is service only. That service only could be a standalone club, a satellite club. So that's the flexibility, and that's the vision that Patrick has created with this level of flexibility and the costing. And what Patrick mentioned also is the average cost for the impact satellite club will be 180. And that's falling up to what the other Patrick Eek said some time ago is Rotary isn't expensive. Meals are expensive.
And I stole that from somebody
True.
else. I think I stole it.
I stole it from you. So,
Yeah. Well,
so once the meals component is removed, that's where you could get that average 180 to 200 a year. And often we do strongly encourage, making contributions to the foundation.
Of course. Okay. Well, I'm going to start using that language this week at my next meeting. I like the 2 gatherings language, oddly. That's beautiful. Thank you.
And Michelle, I can tell you that going back 20 years in my home city in Greensboro, North Carolina, we've had a club whose standard model was 2 what we would consider traditional meetings, a social, and a service project. They've been doing it for 20 years, and nobody has said, you know what, you can't be Rotarians anymore. This is about innovation, right?
I love it. I love it.
And then, to your question about the dues, I would say not only is it permissible, but it is common. Most of the time, the sponsoring club will create in its bylaws a second track for a satellite / other types of memberships, because this can apply not only to a satellite club, but to say a service only membership. And they'll create a due structure that works for those situations. So you have complete flexibility. As long as your club bylaws don't violate any of the governing documents of Rotary, you can do what you want with your bylaws.
Okay, great. Thank you guys so much. Great information. I appreciate that.
Thank you for asking the question, because your question prompted a bigger conversation that's I'm sure helpful to others on this call. Other questions and comments or successes you want to share? We know what's going on. We want to hear from you.
We have a really quiet group this evening.
Hey, Chris.
Yes, sir.
Michelle asked a really good question, and I would be remiss if I didn't tell her exactly what I told the group right in front of Stephanie Urchek and Audley and Terry and you guys down there at the convention. If it doesn't explicitly say that you can't, and it follows the 4-way test, just do it, because you'll spend more time, more months and months asking people if you can. My advice to you, if you have a great idea and it doesn't say that you can't and it follows the 4-way test, do it.
And look, folks, to the extent there's any Rotary police, you have your international director on the call, you have your Rotary coordinator, you have your innovative club advocates. I guess we would be the police. We're saying go for it. Okay, we want you to plow new ground. We want you to create new models. We want you to make discoveries and share them with this group. The big policeman's raising his hand.
I gotta say something. I just gotta tell you that this is not just us saying this. This is right from the top, Aurora International, and the top from a board perspective, from the president perspective, but also as importantly, if not more importantly, from the general secretary. The general secretary uses, let's let 1,000 flowers bloom. Get out there, let's try things, let's try new things. He said, the only risk is that we don't. So you're doing exactly what you want us to do here. And wow, am I energized by this now. I'll zip up now, but keep it going. I'm loving every second of it.
So for instance, the Impact Club that Patrick founded, much with the support of Tiffany Irvin, who was the governor at that time. We're talking about a couple of years ago, this didn't exist. Now it not only exists, but there are over a dozen clubs with, 30 or more that are in formation. I mean, it has created a wildfire. So it's a wonderful thing. Andy Young, you have your hand up. Go right ahead.
Thank you. So we approached a club here in Wilmington, North Carolina to join them as a satellite club and more of a activity-based club. They gave us the approval. We're going to meet with their club in a couple of weeks to give it to the whole club, but we did get board approval, and we are having our first informational session on September 21st. I think it's 5 o'clock in the evening. So thanks to everyone on this call who's been supportive of that effort. We do appreciate it.
Love it, Andy. I hope that you will be back next month and the month after to give us updates and let us know as that seed germinates. Dawn Rochelle, I think you put a note in the chat that maybe you wanted to speak up.
Absolutely. And I think Andy too, in terms of share about kind of, this is a club that has been our largest club in the district that was approached, and engaging that membership. I don't know if you want to share a little more. Let me prompt her and then I can go to mine.
Sure. Yeah, it was the largest club in our district. Well, I'm not sure in the district, but it was the largest club in Wilmington with close to 200 members. And over the course of the pandemic, they lost a large number of members. So when we were reaching out, when we were thinking about who we could approach, we thought that would be a prime club to target, because it would not only booster their membership, and we also know the president and felt he would be very supportive, as well as we know a few of their board members, and it was received with so much positive feedback, and they were just tickled that we approached them first. So thanks, Dawn, for that.
So is it fair to assume that a club that large maybe tended to be traditional in its thinking, and this is a very new direction? So it shows that any club can do this.
It is a traditional club. They have a lunchtime meeting, and they recently had trouble because of the pandemic. They got kind of kicked out of their meeting space, and because they are so large, they had trouble relocating, but they finally did find another location, which I've been to that venue before, and it's just it's an excellent venue, and they'll do really well there.
Yeah. No, so just wanted to share that, because that is, I mean, that's a club that had over 200 members, and they saw the writing on the tea leaves. But no, the cause-based club, I know everyone's going to be shocked, especially with my virtual screen, but we're in the process of an exploratory Rotary Club of empowering our girls. And it's been interesting to see. We don't know if that name will stick. We'll see what RI says, oddly. But it's interesting for me. I have so much energy, and people that are that are drawn to one cause, or a similar background in terms of like an alumni group, like the Global Partners in Peace group, which is predominantly Peace Fellows. But if I can help anyone, and sort of the way that that we have worked in our district to help charter those clubs, but I fully expect that we'll have a new chartered club with, at least 22 members by January. And again, it's just focusing people, and people saying, oh, I'd love to do that, because you're clear about what the focus is.
Yeah, it's an exciting new direction. I say new, I mean, for the last couple of years in Rotary.
I'm just trying to keep up with Patrick Longano.
I just trying to keep up with you, Dawn.
Who else has a comment or question? Or a celebration? Al DeLucia.
Yeah, thanks, Patrick. I just want to let you know that my club, the Rotary Club McMurray, is in step 3. Patrick, thank you very much for all your help. Patrick Longano and Nico and Katie have been absolutely instrumental in helping us with our forming of the Impact Club. So we're in step 3, about to go to step 4. We've got 10 on our Google Doc and 4 more signing up. And last week was the first time that we introduced it to our club members. So we thought that we would let our club members know what we were doing, and they were, to a person at that meeting, everyone was extremely excited about the idea of forming an Impact Club, and everybody started writing names down. And what really, I won't say surprised me, but really made me happy was how many people volunteered to make phone calls to either people they knew that were in professions like teachers, or people that just would not be able to come to our traditional meetings, which are lunchtime meetings on Wednesdays, or former Rotarians that have left because job transfer or the time just didn't fit for them anymore. So I really think this is going to catch fire, and we're going to have at least 15 people by September 13th, which was our next board meeting, and probably a lot more by induction. And Patrick, we're holding you to coming up, because we're telling everybody you're coming, because you're going to be there, and Stephanie's going to be there.
Let's say bravo, Al. That's it's almost like you watched the last membership action plan webinar on creating a pipeline. Good for you. Good stuff.
Thanks.
And any other news going on in your club that you want to share?
Yeah, there's a little bit of news. You know, we're waiting for the official announcement for the confirmation date, but you know, fingers crossed that our own Dr. Stephanie Urchik will be Rotary International President 24-25. So no pressure. You know, when she calls and says, "How's our Impact Club coming?" On it.
No pressure. I know we're all thrilled for Stephanie and for your club. That'll be a special experience. Thanks for sharing what you're doing with that impact, and reinforcing how much help you've gotten from Katie and Patrick.
Yeah, Katie, Patrick, and Nico. I mean, really just step by step, holding your hand, walking you through, being so enthusiastic, so encouraging, and making it so easy. The online, the application is just super. Patrick, I did what you showed us, and texting it to somebody and having them pull up their phone right there and then, and having them fill out the application right then. When it dings, you're right. You're like your Batman. Like, yeah, that ding, that's me. That's me. Pull that up, fill it out.
That was so much fun, Al. If you don't know what it is, and anybody wants it, I can help them with it. Al's talking about if I'm standing in front of somebody and I'm talking to them about Rotary, I say, "Hey, can I have your number?" And they say, "Sure." And they give me their number. And when their phone dings, I go, "That would be for me." And they look down and I say, "You see that? That's the application. Why don't you go ahead and fill it out right now while we're standing here, just in case you have any questions." And I made Al do it. I said, "Al, you got to send it to me and do it." And I'm so glad it worked for you, Al. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah,
I just want to say right now, I am not getting on Patrick's car lot, because I know I'm driving away with a new purchase of that dude.
Sold.
The man can sell.
But let me offer, Al, what a great testimonial to, you know, the product that Patrick Longano has put together with the Impact Clubs. And I really like the part where you talked about, you know, the online help and the steps that people are walking you through. I think so often in Rotary, somebody comes up with an idea and says, "Go run with it," but they don't give you the how. And you know what Patrick has done with this Impact Club, and I'm going to steal Dawn Rochelle's line here and say, well, you not only got the wow, but you got the how too. So awesome job.
Yeah,
Could we hear Patrick's last name, please, so I can jot it down, because I don't see it on his screen.
It's Longano, Longano. That's the pronunciation, correct, Patrick?
Yeah, usually you'll remember how to pronounce it after you yell about it one time. Like Patrick will be like, "Darn Longano again." You know, now I'm teasing Patrick because I love him. But yes, it's Longano.
Don't worry, he's been called worse.
Thank you.
And with a last name like Eeks, I try to pay attention to other last names. You know? Okay, who else would like to share? We got a little bit of time.
I'll share something, Patrick.
Mrs. Olson, go right ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. I would just like to give a shout out to Patrick Eakes and to Terry Weaver for being our featured guest speakers at our District 7770 Membership Summit on August the 20th. I'm telling you, they are outstanding speakers. And so I encourage everybody to plan and conduct membership summits and get some of these really awesome speakers that we have available right here in our backyard to be part of it. We got great feedback on our event evaluation. So many thanks to you all.
Oh, thank you, Sandy. That was a fun event, and you and Governor Bob are wonderful hosts. So thank you. Jeremy, we always hold a little bit of time at the end in case there's anything you'd like to share with us.
Well, you're very wise making it limited, Patrick. So you're learning, obviously. I just enjoy these calls so much. I mean, it's just to sit and listen to the amazing stuff that's percolating up from the ground, which is where all good things in Rotary happen. They happen from the ground up. And what I think is even more encouraging at this point for me is to see how well Rotary International are listening to what's going on in your zone and in my zone as well. 34, of course, 33 is both of my zones. So to know the acknowledgement we're getting for this tremendous work, to know the recognition we're getting, and to understand that we're being watched. Sure, it creates a little pressure on us, but I'm amazingly proud of what we're doing and what you're doing in particular. And I spend every opportunity and can take every opportunity I can to boast about just how good you guys are. You really are going to make a difference in 10, 20, 30 years, maybe even 2 or 3 years of what Rotary means, both on a regional and a global basis. So keep up this amazing work. And thanks also to your leaders here, Patrick, Terry, Chris. That group is very, very special and recognizes being so. Thank you once again. And all the echoes, great guy.
Jeremy, we continue to appreciate that you make time for these meetings. We know that your schedule is unbelievable, and the last thing you need is another hour, but you signal how important this effort is by being here so consistently. So thank you for that.
Charges my batteries, believe me. So that's why I'm here. I get more out of it, as much out of it as you guys, probably more. Thank you.
All right, well, we are coming to the close. I do want to give a moment to Rich Salon, who works specifically on innovative membership types. So Rich, go right ahead.
Thanks, Patrick. And I got to give a message to my wife first. What you don't see is my wife is actually driving this desk right now. Honey, you need to slow down a little bit. I think you're about to run over the dog. Be really careful. Hey, team, I've gotten a lot out of this call, and we cannot emphasize enough the power of innovative clubs. However, there's the sister to the new innovative clubs, and that sister is innovative membership types. So just a reminder, clubs have so much ability, so much autonomy to create innovative types. If it's corporate, if it's service, if it's family, if it's under 35, if it's passport, if it's that left-handed engineered right brain thinking membership type, if it works for the club, we can make it work. So anyway, thanks for the opportunity to plug innovative membership types, alive and well. Thanks.
Thank you, Rich. And I think innovative membership types, again, similar to clubs, they not only attract those who might not otherwise be a part of our organization, but I've seen them be a very effective tool for retaining those who might leave our organization otherwise. So often I've seen people move to a service only membership because the meeting time doesn't work for them, but they want to stay connected to their club. So thank you for the work you're doing, the resource you are to all of us.
Absolutely. Patrick, one size, a reminder, one size fits one.
One size fits one. That's right. We do have some reminders here before we break for the month. The ICA spreadsheet that we use to create our report for Director Jeremy. We need you to report that by the 20th of the month. We typically will send you a reminder on the 15th or the 16th. We've had a few districts that have not reported in so far this year. So it is important that that you do get that reported to us so that we can do the compilation. I mentioned the Membership Action Plan webinar earlier. Is everybody familiar with the map, with the Membership Action Plan? Have you been seeing promotions for that? How about a show of hands? Okay, great. So last month we talked about creating a pipeline. We're going to talk this week about connecting, or this month rather, with connecting with prospects. That is September 12th. So that is next Monday at 5 p.m. We hope that you will make the time and join us. There'll be additional promotion coming out. I'm sure that many of you have already signed up, but please do join us for that webinar. Our next membership call, the DMC call, if you will, is September 19th at 5 p.m. That's coming up, so hopefully you have that on your calendar as well. And of course, this call will be on the first Monday of October, which is October 4th at 5 p.m. So I hope that you have all of those on your calendars. That is, just so you're clear, the ICA is the second Tuesday of each month. The MAP call is the second Monday. The DMC call is the third Monday. You can block those off on your calendar. Appointment webinar or appointment Zoom calls. So I think that's it for this month. We'll wrap up just a couple minutes early, and we appreciate all of you spending your time being with us, your contributions in the chat, verbally, and especially what you're doing in your respective parts of Zone 33. You're definitely making a difference, and we look forward to celebrating your successes with you in the months to come. So bye-bye, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.